Hello, everyone, and welcome to Movie Mandates, the show where my sister and I force each other to watch movies according to a monthly theme. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kelly.
And October is Creeped Me Out as a Kid month here on Movie Mandates, and we're kicking things off with The Secret of NIMH, a movie that balances copious amounts of nightmare fuel with the soothing comedic shenanigans of Dom DeLuise. But before we scar your children for life with our vivid descriptions of this film's imagery, it's only fair that since I mandated today's movie, Kelly gets to challenge me in a segment we call Trivial Trivia.
Yes, I'm very excited. So, in The Secret of NIMH, we have the bad nasty Jenner, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would be, I guess, the
Too
villain.
too many J's. You've got
Yeah,
Jenner, Jeremy, and Jared.
Who's the
Justin.
Justin? I'm like, what's his name? And I was getting those. I was like, Justin. No, that's Jeremy. Well, I mean, I wasn't getting Jeremy confused, Avi, but like it was a lot of that. But anyways, speaking of J names, Jenner. I don't know why I said speaking of J names because it has nothing to do with the letter J. Jenner has a sidekick who ultimately brings him down. Right. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
He comes around at the end. Do you know the sidekick's name? This is not the trivial trivia, by the way. I'm just asking curiously. Do you know the sidekick's name?
No.
Do you want to know why you don't know it?
Bob? Does he not have a name?
Because they never say it.
Oh, okay. Is he credited though? Does he have a name in the credits?
His name is Sullivan, because apparently in the book he's Sullivan. So it got me thinking, brother.
Interesting, because I think the guard that harasses Mrs. Brisby at the very front, Brutus. Yeah, he's named.
He actually comes a name.
Back. He comes back in and redeems himself. It's like, thanks, Brutus. It's like, oh, that's the guard from the beginning.
Well, like, what if he accidentally killed her? Okay, sorry, we're not talking about that yet. So I'll say 3 because 2 sounds awkward, but if you can only get 2, that's totally fine.
Okay.
I want to know movies that in which the main character or one of the main characters doesn't have a name. Or doesn't have like a, birth certificate name.
Well, there's the Man with No Name movies with Clint Eastwood. There you go. There's 3. I cheated.
You can use one of those.
One of them. Oh, okay. All right. So Good, Bad, and the Ugly. There you go. There's one. And technically, he's a different dude in all 3 movies.
Wait, is he really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the movies aren't like sequels to each other. They're just Clint Eastwood, Fistful of Dollars and a Few Dollars More. They're just cashing on them. He's some different guy. I don't think it's supposed to be the same guy.
I did not know. I do not know. Anyways, yes, he's not named.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Man, that's
I was very proud.
Tough to come up with one.
I thought of 2 right away, and that's why I was like, well, maybe 2, and it wasn't the Man with No Name guy.
Let's see.
And I have, I think, a list. I did look because I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a lot of movies, and there's enough for.
Yeah, one I just thought, the one that's always weirded me out is a character that has a name. It's said in the movie, but he's not credited as such, and that's Michael Myers in Halloween. He's credited as the Shape, which
that's interesting.
Always weird to me because I'm like, but no one calls him that. It's Michael Myers.
That's
Everyone
actually very
knows
interesting.
It's Michael Myers. Why is he credited as the Shape? That's never made any damn sense to me. But
so curious, as you're thinking in the back of your head, since we don't want dead air, let's talk about Mr. Myers. Was the Shape at did it's Kane, right? Does Kane Hodder play it?
No, that he played Jason Voorhees a few times.
Jason, golly gumfries.
Bunch of different actors have played Michael Myers over the years.
So I'm wondering if
Nick Castle, I think, was the guy who did it in the first.
Okay, because I was just wondering if there was a difference between the faraway shots that were the shape, like maybe it was a bulkier, like more, what's
they
Lou
almost certainly,
Ferrigno guy in the,
there was
versus.
almost certainly a stand-in here or there, but usually they hired some stunt guy to do Michael Myers, so it's usually the same guy. But there were probably some stand-ins.
Right. Well, I was trying to make it work, but it's just not going to.
Characters that have no name.
We actually did a movie mandates on one.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, happy year. October. We started in October with Slap Happy Halloween.
Did we? Oh, okay. Yeah, there we
terrible people. Yeah.
Isn't what's his name? Edward Norton's character in Fight Club doesn't have a name, right?
It's just the narrator.
He's the narrator. Yeah, there you go. There's one.
There you go.
Okay, so two.
Well, I
said, give me a hint for another one.
Oh, Hannah. So let me open up my browser. The one that I loved actually has Javier Bardem in it. Speaking of our lovely him, he is.
Is it the No Country for Old Men? Does he not have a name in that?
Oh, I wonder if
no, it's Sugar. It's Sugar.
Oh yeah, Anton Chigurh. I was looking it up. Where was I? Was I not looking it up? Oh, I was probably looking it up on my phone because, why wouldn't I look it up on the smallest device that I have? Oh, I almost just said it. What characters have never, main character never given
oh God, I've got one. Oh,
I'm ready.
The princess in Neverending Story.
I love it. Okay, loud.
The unaging princess. What is her title? It's something like that, right?
Oh gosh, what is
the childlike princess?
I think she's the empress. She's the empress.
Empress.
Wasn't she an empress?
She's not. Bastion names her.
He does.
But he names her.
Yeah. Beatrice. I don't know. It's 3 syllables, I believe.
He just opens the window and shouts into the storm.
Yeah.
Patricia? Beatrice? I don't know.
Bernadette. I don't know.
Bernadette. There you go. The childlike empress and never.
Yes, I'll totally take
She has no name.
So like Kill Bill kind of was until the end, but the one that I was thinking
Beatrice,
of,
I think.
Yeah, her name was Beatrice. Yeah. Funny. But the one I was thinking of that came to my head right away was Mother with Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. I haven't seen that.
Oh, I've seen like that was my Midsommar before I saw Midsommar. I saw it like 4 times in the theater, and then I still love it. Like, I'm not saying that it's still very good.
Neverending Story, another good movie.
That creeped you out as a kid.
You know what? There's a lot of good stuff, like the horse sinking, Artax sinking into the.
God, it's glad I didn't choose this one at the end.
Yeah,
because this wasn't what I was toying with.
The wolf in the cave.
The wolf did it for me. And then when the rock guy just sat there and let the nothing take him, and he just goes, oh, and you're like,
the rock biter. Yeah. Such strong hands. I forget what the wolf's name is. I think it's 1 syllable, starts with a G. It's like Grog or Grok or something like that. But that tete-a-tete that he has with Atreyu is
Atreyu.
The way it's not a very good puppet, but it's so ugly and weird. It's offsetting. But what really creeped me out in that movie as a kid is when Falkor gets a shot in his weirdly bubbly, scaly hide.
Oh, his skin is the most creepy.
Skin is so
oh God, I hate it.
I hate it.
I'm like, is it moist? Is it like, what? It's not soft, guys. That's not fur. I don't know what it is, and I hate it. And it's glistening. So I'm like, oh, and like,
what part of that luck dragon doesn't have fur?
I don't like it. Yeah, no, I'm with you times 1,000 on that. That close. I'm like, oh, and it creep. Just like, I get uncomfortable just thinking about it. I'm like, contorting in a weird way. Yeah, no, that did creep me out as a kid. But it more sad, like, oh, Artax. And he's like, come on. And he's like, he just doesn't have the will to like get out of, oh my God. Oh, that movie. We're not gonna
tired of feeling your balls on my back. I'd rather drown in this swamp than hang out with you.
Dude, Atreyu was the original, like, well, he wasn't like
little mini heartthrob, was he?
Well, he was a mini heartthrob, but he was the androgynous for young people. Whereas, you had Bowie, obviously, and Annie Lennox, but like I didn't know who those were. I mean, I did, but Bowie, obviously, because of Labyrinth
rolled around.
Yeah. But like not of my age though. Like if I were to crush on Bowie, like Atreyu was a little bit more like you could almost see yourself with Atreyu. But were you like very androgynous, that chap? Which is good. Androgyny is gorgeous, but it also makes you question things when you're a kid. You're like, ah.
Was Annie Lennox ever in any movies? She ever do any films?
I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. She did some amazing
not that
videos.
Music
videos.
Music videos. But I was thinking, is she ever in movies? I can't think of any if she was.
No, I mean, and other than Labyrinth, and then of course, Zoolander. I don't know if Bowie did a lot of film work. Am I incorrect there?
He's done some, isn't he? In like Man Who Fell to Earth too, or
well, he had a album called that ? Oh my God, there's gonna be so many people that if they listen to this, they're gonna be so pissed at me, so angry.
Let's see. Yeah, Man Who Fell to Earth, and he's in Zoolander.
I know he's in Zoolander.
Okay, so yeah,
because you did the remember when I did
and he's in The Prestige, really? Oh, okay.
Remember when I did the TikTok with the koala that you edited for me?
Yes.
For the Zoolander.
Oh, that's right.
I did the walk off with the koala. So yeah.
Let's see. Annie Lennox. Okay, well, no, she did Into the West and the Lord of the Rings. So a bunch of movie soundtracks, but okay.
Good for her.
Yep, but so far as I know, and maybe she's had like a little cameo in something, but all right.
All right. Cool. So excellent.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, I was so proud.
I'm probably gonna like throughout the rest of the night. I'm gonna. There's another one.
And then you'll know. Well, I think it's interesting because when I was even reading some of the ones that came up on the list, because I had thought of like Mother and stuff a few times, and some others, the ones that you said, Fight Club. I was like, there's got to be more, and there are. And some of them aren't as even noticeable. They're just like the Road with Jack Kerouac and The Tenant.
I actually just thought of another one along the same line as the Man with No Name. Is you have the Yojimbo character played by Toshiro Mifune in Yojimbo and Sanjuro.
No.
Although maybe Sanjuro was his name, but he definitely wasn't named in Yojimbo. He was just the bodyguard, the Yojimbo.
Is the guy in what's his name? Not dog. The dog one. Does he have a name? The
dog one.
Oh, Hannah, I'll think of it and I will.
What is the later. Dog one?
Yes, it's something about a leash. A guy and he's on a leash. There's a thing. He has black hair. I don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe that was this last Saturday. I don't remember. I'm just saying. So let's talk about
The Secret of NIMH.
Yes.
Okay.
Secret of
so there is a lot of imagery in this movie that could conceivably freak out a kid.
Yes.
Or creep out a kid, since that's how we titled this month's theme. If you had the guess, and you do.
Yes, I do.
What specifically in this movie creeped me right the hell out when I was a kid?
To me, it has to be when the owl turned his head upside down. Like
that's definitely a good guess. But
when it first came on, I was like, "Oh, there it is," because that was jarring. Because it's a very jarring moment. I was like, "That found it." So that was the one that got me.
Well, I'll give you a hint.
It ain't that.
I had the same problem with the Never-Ending Story.
See, was it the hands
No,
of
it was
Nicodemus?
no. It was the in the flashback to the testing lab at NIMH,
Yeah.
and the rats getting little shots in their tummies.
Oh.
It was the shots. The
Yeah.
rats getting picked up and just jabbing them in the gut with a needle.
What
Oh,
is that? Trypanophobia? Fear of needles or fear
I
of
have
injections?
no idea. I actually don't have a fear of needles or a feel. I don't know what it was. What's weird is it's the Luck Dragon Falcor's skin texture,
Yeah.
more than anything else, that just creeped me the hell out. But NIMH, and I talked about this last week, I think I have a memory of being in like daycare, or
Sure.
maybe
Well, it came out in 82.
82. So yeah, I would have been so in like 84 or something, would have been on home video and could have been playing in daycares or preschools or something like that.
Because they see that it's animated and they're like, oh, it must be fine.
Yeah. And I just remember that sequence specifically where they're grabbing the rats and poking them in the tummies with needles. But yeah.
Wow.
And there's that whole thing it's similar to it's very psychedelic, and the visuals are psychedelic, and the camera movements are dizzying. It's very much like that trip through Hell's Tunnel in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where they're seeing all that weird imagery.
Well, I think that the entire thing is like I was talking, what movie were we talking
But
about?
yes, Nicodemus himself with his gnarled fingers is pretty creepy.
Oh,
the whole sequence with the great owl is wonderfully,
and like with the cobwebs, just
with the
sitting on his
cobwebs and
wings.
stuff, and the spider walking around, and
and he squishes it.
Dragon the cat is pretty terrifying with his weird pirate eyes or whatever's going on there.
There's some scary things. Although I will say, well, we'll get to it. We'll talk about
that whole here in a second. Whole sequence, that wonderfully desperate and tense sequence at the end of the movie where they're trying to save her home from sinking in the mud.
Dude,
that's just incredibly well.
There's a lot going on, and the voice acting is phenomenal in this.
This is from an era of film where not a lot of times people would just use their voices, and that's just what Dom DeLuise sounds like, unless he just put on that voice all the time. I think that's just his voice.
Correct.
But you'd hire, in that
you hired based on voice.
70s and the early 80s, rarely would you hear anyone make a cartoon voice. They just hire people and they'd speak regular. So you had very natural sounding voices and performances. Wonderful voice cast. I would not be surprised if Dom DeLuise's Crow Jeremy. Yeah. I would not be surprised if that character is not in the book, because he does other than retrieving her packet of medicine at the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
He has no function in the plot at all. Everyone just tells him to go away, and he doesn't even do anything during the climax. He's not there.
Well, the amulet's not in the book at all.
Oh, is it not? Have you read the book?
I have not.
I have not either.
So I went down a rabbit hole. No, I didn't, because
though he has no function in the plot, he gets the denouement, and I don't know why.
I know he gets the girl. Like, it's such a weird.
A girl shows up and he gets her. It's like the epilogue to the film is Jeremy gets laid. It's like, oh. Good for him.
So
you think we're going to see Thorn Valley where the rats move or something? I mean, we do get a little bit with Timmy. Looks like he's going to be okay. Their house has been moved to the
lee side of the rock.
Stone, right? Stone, right? But you think we're gonna like move over to Thorn Valley and
I
make
thought
sure all
so
the rat.
too.
No, we just I assume they're fine. They made it. I'm sure
They're
all of it.
smart.
Jeremy got laid, and that's the important thing. That's where we end our movie. It's like,
It was so
okay,
like, so I'll bring it. I was gonna bring it up earlier and then I stopped myself, so I'll bring it up now because I know we need to get to the plot of the movie.
yeah,
But and I'll tell you the very, very, very shallow rabbit hole I went down later.
okay.
There were so many scenes in this movie that I was immediately taken to like another movie. That in my head, I'm like, so when she's in the owls thing and she steps on the bones and they fall down that cavernous thing, I'm like, and there's the Goonies shot exactly.
Okay,
And
sure,
then
sure.
when Jenner was basically, I think when Nicodemus was dying and he comes like, or he's having this big soliloquy, and I'm like, okay, that's Scar. And then in even the red, and then of course Jeremy and the girl has nothing to do with other movies. It's exactly it's the Magic Flute with Papageno and Papagena. That's who that is. But there
You know,
was,
there are moments in the film before Jeremy shows up where you're starting to get an idea of the plot, where it's where all the animals are going to have to move because
yeah,
there's going to be some farming implement coming. I'm like, I'm getting some Watership Down vibes
yes,
here. Is
with
that
all
where
those
this is
rabbits and
going?
stuff.
Yeah.
There's so many weird. So, but like, so I went and looked into like some things because there was just so much that was so reminiscent. And then when you learn about the creation of this movie, that it was Disney Misfits who did it, you can see that like Disney probably took from it like later because all those things that I said, but it's incredible. I have to believe because this one came first
Mhm.
that it really put feel because that's the thing about this movie. I find the plot short. There's it to me. There's nothing. We need to move the house. My kid is sick, so I can't move him. So we need to move the house. Let's move it.
You know what
It got moved, and yet the entire movie is like just this epic journey for her because it's all of her inward, like it's her inwardness put outward, like so that's why I have to believe that it is one of those movies that people would have had visceral like emotional reactions to that stayed with them that they would then either purposefully or accidentally copy into other films. But let me tell you, I was just transported constantly. I was like, oh my gosh, oh, loving the transportation. But it was so interesting that I was like, wow, this is an incredibly thoughtful movie because it's cinematically beautiful.
Which is interesting too, because I wonder if Disney itself saw this and was like, you know what, maybe we should try going a little bit darker, because then like 4 years later, I think 1986, so they did
Dark Crystal.
The Black
Cauldron. Yep,
Cauldron,
you're
sorry,
right. You're right.
the Black
We
Cauldron,
suck.
which also had some pretty scary imagery. It got a lot
Yes.
darker in some places. Used rotoscope, live action film just colored over with rotoscope. You'll notice the dude on the tractor, those shots is
Oh
actually a
yeah.
dude on
Oh
the
yeah.
tractor and they just drew over
Yep.
it. Black Cauldron used to use that technique here and there too. So yeah. So anyway, let's
Yeah.
plot. What movie? What's the movie doing
So
now that we've talked about the
now that we've talked
ending
about it
and
for 20
stuff?
minutes
So
and the ending and how Jeremy gets his, let me tell
yep,
you.
yep.
So Mrs. Brisby, although in the book she's called Frisbee, and what you are correct. You and I had a conversation about it, like not recorded, but about how it was because of the toy frisbee that they
Was
had
it
to make.
the
It
trademark? They were
truly
afraid of the
was. It
trademark thing.
truly
Yeah.
was. They were like, nope. So Brisby, which is fine. I
Fine.
love it. So she's a mother of 4 and she has a 6
Just
son.
throw her like a frisbee, like a frisbee.
Like a
you
frisbee.
get it? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So she has an ailing son, and it's coming time to move because the frost is clearing and the farmer's gonna start plowing. So she goes to a wise mouse named Mr. Aegis and gets medicine for her son so that he can get better. The only problem is that he has pneumonia and thusly cannot leave his bed. So now, how do you move your family if you can't let your kid leave the bed? You obviously have to move the house. How do we move the house?
The idea is if little Timmy's got pneumonia, he needs a couple of weeks of recuperation.
Yes.
The cold air outside will kill him. So, but you know, the farmer's going to plow the field. So what do we do?
So she is told to go see the wise old owl who we talked about, covered the great owl, who has glowing eyes and is gigantic and covered in cobwebs and has a beautiful voice and speaks in very interesting cadence and basically tells her to go talk to some rats in a rose bush. So she goes, and of course I'm omitting Jeremy because he doesn't
once she name drops her late husband anyway.
Right. So basically every time she says, "Oh, I'm Mrs. Brisby," and they're like Jonathan Brisby, and they're like, "Yeah, like my husband Jonathan Brisby," and that name gets her real far.
And that's a John Carradine, by the way, as the great owl.
So let's talk about these rats. So these rats live in a rosebush. Actually, they live in this underground empire below the rosebush that has electricity and everything. And they are advanced rats that the reason that they're so advanced is because they come from the National Institute of Mental Health, where they were injected, which is NIMH, N-I, mental health, M-H, NIMH. I'm like,
National Institute of Mental Health, yeah.
Yes. Where they were injected with stuff, liquid, and it made them super smart, that they could read and they could reason and they could escape all by them lonesomes.
Yeah, they gave the rats the ability to read, so they looked at the cage and it says, "To open cage, lift lever."
Lift latch. And they're like, oh shit, that's all you have to do. So it was really good. So they were like, we read and we learned how to
How do we get out of here? Exit.
Sweet.
Reading is fun.
So there were mice and there were rats in this experiment. And unfortunately,
they left all the hamsters and dogs to die, I guess.
Oh my gosh, right? So apparently, because rats are much bigger than mice, the mice got sucked through an air vent, all but two, and they passed,
escaped. Apparently. They escaped through an air vent, and all but two of the mice, Jonathan Brisby and Mr. Aegis, were blown away, ostensibly to their deaths.
Yes, I was like, oh my goodness. And so the reason why Jonathan Brisby is so lauded by the rats and his name carries such weight is because he's the one who was able to fit through the grate, and he got out and he opened the grate, and let all of the
vent leading to the outside had a vent cover, and only one of the mice the rats were way too big, and Aegis has a fat ass, so it was up to Jonathan Brisby to squeeze through the vent and open it and let everybody else. So that's why he's everyone speaks his name with such a reverence. So I'm playing the Trails games, the Trails in the Sky and stuff.
Oh yes.
It's funny because the main character of the first three games is Stell. Everywhere she goes, she's like, "Oh my god, are you Cassius Bright's kid?" And she's like, "You know my father." I was having flashbacks of that because everywhere she goes, "I'm Mrs. Brisby." It's like, wait, Mrs. Jonathan Brisby? I was like, yes. Why does everybody know?
You know who's had that is this one right here. Do you remember
when we were in school?
When we were in school, God, I was in the girls' bathroom.
Are you your brother's sister?
Yes. No, she did say Andrew Eisen, but like I was just mind my own business, washing my hands, and she just looks at me and she says, "Are you Andrew Eisen's sister?" And I was, yes, and just her face of, and I'm like,
What?
What are we humming? And I don't think I couldn't tell you who that girl was. I don't know what she did after that. I can't recall if we ever bumped into each other, but like a woman I didn't know, well, girl, but like I was in high school, but a girl I didn't know was like, "Are you Andrew Eisen's sister?" I say yes, and she just does this little Percy and walks out of the bathroom, and I'm like,
"What the hell was that?"
Yes, this is all true. So the reason to go to the rats is because they are so far technologically advanced. They'll be able to figure a way, right, to get the house moved. They will use technology and their brains and their smarts.
Right.
And
well, their idea is like, well, if we can't move Timmy, maybe let's move the entire house.
Exactly. And she lives in a brick, by the way. Something like
she
that.
lives in a cinder block
thing. I'm like
next to a stone. So the idea is the stone is shaped like that, and she's on
like
this side of the stone. So
Yeah.
they're like, all right, move it under the stone so it can't mow under that stone. So you should be safe over there.
Yeah. Which why you wouldn't set yourself up. Well, I guess you never had a cinder block.
That's where the cinder block was.
That's where the cinder block was. Okay. So, and the rats are great. They have these pulley systems and they're doing stuff. But our nemesis, Jenner, who is just kind of the bad guy because we needed a bad guy.
The rat, yeah. The rats are the way rats are conceptualized in this film are a species of animal that lives off the work and production of humans, right? Yes. They eat our garbage, they live in our homes, they live off of what we produce, right?
Yes.
And now that the rats are intelligent, they're like, we don't want to do that anymore. And what they're doing is they're stealing electricity from the farmhouse that they live next to. And that is, in their words, their eternal shame. And what they want to do is move to Thorn Valley, wherever the hell that is.
A barren wasteland for them to just create anew.
They've advanced their society and culture and technology to the point where they don't need to steal or live off of humans anymore, and they want to move.
Right.
Jenner is a big old fundamentalist, traditional poopy pants.
Yeah,
who's like,
we're doing fine.
We're doing fine. Stealing there, everything's fine. We don't want to move. So that's one of the conflicts.
Right, and so it is unfortunate, but during the moving of Mrs. Brisby's house, Jenner sabotages some stuff, and
so you have two factions: Nicodemus, who's pro.
No, I never even talked about him.
Yeah, Nicodemus, who's the patriarch of the rat population. He's pro moving. Jenner is the young traditionalist upstart. Yes. Usually it'd be the other way around, but the older generation tends to be the more conservative.
We're staying here.
You don't want to move. Damn kids today with your highfalutin ideas of changing our ways and things, but nice to see that old man being so progressive.
Yeah, right. Look at him.
But Jenner's like, okay, what we can do is we can sabotage the effort to move Mrs. Brisby's house to kill Nicodemus, so that his influence is gone, and I can convince everyone to stay here. And
to move back to the thorn bush. Yeah,
Jenner, no one likes you. Stay here. No one will care.
I'm like, or just say, hey, whoever wants to stay can stay, and whoever wants to go, go. Like if there's people who are like factions that are like, I don't really want to go, then let them stay.
One thing, narratively, I like about the film.
Yes.
Is when it first starts, you think it's going to be a quest to heal my sick little boy.
Yeah, it really takes a turn.
Yeah, it's really not. It opens with her going to Mr. Aegis and telling him, my boy is very sick and he has pneumonia and he'll die. And he's like, give him this. He'll be fine. Need to keep him in bed for a few weeks, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, he has pneumonia.
Oh, yeah. It's like, no, so the problem is, he's sick, but he'll be fine. The problem is he's going to be run over by a tractor if he doesn't move. But he can't move because he needs to get better. If he goes outside, the chill will kill him. It's like, that's
different.
That's cool because it gives you a real nice. First of all, that's a horrifying fate. Number two, that it's a wonderful ticking clock. Number three, it's a lot more interesting than, what do we do? Then can we find the cure? Because it could have been a quest to find the flour that we need to grind up into paste to make the medicine, but we see that in fantasy movies all the time. But so she gets the medicine, she goes home. The shrew, who's the busybody,
Aunt whatever her name is,
Aunt Shrew.
Moving day is coming. Oh, it is true. That's great.
Yeah. So she basically she's the president of the HOA for the garden animals, essentially.
Right.
She's just up in everyone's business, but she actually does love and care for everyone there, which is nice. She's a good person, a bit prickly, but she's fine.
Kids. I mean, she really helps.
Yeah, she does.
The plow scene where they're cutting the.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's some great action, and like it's very.
Because Brisby freezes. She gets scared and just freezes, and it's up to the shrew to stop the plow and buy them an extra day.
Which is a huge character development point.
That's the point of her character arc is, courage of heart. And there's a really nice progression because she is very timid and scared. And, she freezes, she goes for it, but she freezes up. Then she she thinks about volunteering for it. They have to drug the cat to keep the cat asleep so that they can move around.
She volunteers.
The only way to get into the house is through a small knot hole in the floor, which again, Aegis' fat ass can't get. Well, actually, it could.
He broke his leg.
He broke his leg trying. So.
Oh, and by the way, this is how her husband, Jonathan Brisby, died. Trying to drug the cat, and the cat
ate him. Yeah. Or mauled him to death. It's not really clear, but yeah, that's pretty horrific.
Yeah, there's
but she's the only one that can do it, and she's like, okay, bye. And then she's, I volunteer for tribute. It's like, and it's like, there you go. And then by the end of the movie, she gets the confidence to harness her chi and do magic. I don't know if the magical element of the movie was actually needed. I don't mind it, but I don't think it's weird, especially since it's like rats with smarts and technology. Okay, and there's magic. Why?
That's the thing, is I was agreeing. I was like, when I found out that their secret was intelligence, I was like, oh, that's really cool, because I had always thought that this was some sort of mystic arts magic something gonna happen. And then when they're like, we're just, we can read.
That's what's really great about the film, because there's a solid 20, if it's just my son is dying, I need to go find the magic flour to grind into paste to make the salve that'll make him better, right? Yeah. Okay, I get what we're going for. But she gets the medicine for him at the very beginning of the movie. And then we find out, okay, we've got a day or so to figure out, what are we going to do? We have to move, but we can't move him. Go see the great owl. If he doesn't eat you.
Right. And apparently she's and also that's her husband's name helped there too, because apparently
the owl essentially is like, move your family then. Well, my son's sick. And he's like, well, I mean, you've got like 4 kids. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And he's like, on your bike now, Mrs. Brisby. And he's like, Mrs. Jonathan Brisby? All right, go see the rats in the rose bushes. So for like 20 minutes of this film, you understand the stakes. We need to move Timmy and the family. We need to move the family out of the way of the tractor, but we can't move Timmy.
Right.
What are a bunch of mice going to do? And so for 20 minutes, you have no idea what they're going to do. You go to the owl. Okay, the wise owl. What's the wise owl going to say? Go see the rats. The hell are the rats going to do?
Thanks. Yeah.
So we go find the rats, and then we slowly reveal that these rats have
technology,
which is foreshadowed earlier because you see the
oh my god,
silhouettes of the rats stealing a power cable
when they at the very like the introduction of the rats is, and that's the only time that the National Institute of Mental Health is mentioned, is when the farmer's wife is like, honey, have you noticed anything about the rats around here? And then you see scurry.
Those guys from NIMH keep calling. NIMH, the National Institute of Mental Health. Yeah, they keep calling about rats. And so the solution is, the rats are smart enough to use their technical acumen to engineer a solution. That's really interesting. But there's 20 minutes of the movie where you're like, I don't see any way out of it. I don't know what the hell she's going to
I was like, I don't
She is in a solid catch-22, and she goes for it's like, go see the great owl. And the great owl's like, go see the rats and ask for Nicodemus. What the hell are they going to do? Who knows? Right. So I really like that progression. Oh, and the Dom DeLuise bird is there too, but it's not.
He's there. He's
the comic relief.
Yeah.
Light.
But
and he's funny, but I think I found him a bit tonally discordant from the rest of the film. Like I found the kids and their interactions with Mrs. Shrew to be the right type of humor.
That little mouse with the green bow
tied around her waist. Yeah, she's funny.
She's the cutest. She's the baby. She's so cute. Yeah, again, he was completely a Papageno character of like incongruous that word.
Yes.
Yep. That's the one.
Incongruous.
That's the one. He was at. Oh, speaking of incongruous, can we talk about how for just a very brief moment it turned into a musical and then it didn't?
When did it do that?
So like it was she was singing in her mind, if you will, that lullaby to her
lullaby
son.
Yeah,
and
okay,
I'm just like,
sure.
We're singing now, but it was her, and like her lips weren't moving, but like that's just kind of
like an internal monologue.
It was lullaby. An internal lullaby, and I was like, so we're going down but it was, and then never again did anyone sing.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, okay, okay, but that's fine. So at the when Jenner completes his task of sabotaging the move and killing Nicodemus, and then his unnamed Sullivan friend realizes I backed the wrong horse and helps and ultimately completes the demise of Mr. Jenner with a dagger, a really well thrown dagger into the heart, or the back, whatever. Yep. So you're like, well, great. Now what are we gonna do?
He worm tongue and Saruman's it. Well, except he chucks the dagger.
He chucks it, man. And so it comes that Nicodemus gave. I was this close to calling her Bianca, but it's not. Bianca. Wrong mouse. So he gave Brisby this amulet that will, upon courage of heart, will show its power, or you don't really know what it's going to do, but he's like, whatever.
It's the magic MacGuffin.
It's your magic thing. And you're like, okay. And she goes full hog. Nicodemus dies. Jenner's now dead. So is Sullivan. Her kids are trapped in a cinder block, and the cinder block is
sinking in the mud. There's shots of the kids inside the house.
Oh my god,
it's muddy like, water rising, and
really like not a film I'm showing my kids. Sequence. But like, and she is, for the first time, as we were saying, because she at the beginning freezes, and then
yeah, she's just out in there. She's just out in there. She
doesn't stop. She's in the mud. She's working on the pulley system. And Justin's there.
Justin has to once the cinder block sinks below, he has to physically pull her away.
He has to remove her and restrain her to basically be like, at least we're saving you. Even and like literally, 4 children are like
just drowned in the mud,
drowning in mud, like and nothing to do. and then the
Was Miss
amulet.
Shrew inside the did she get knocked out and was she inside the home too?
I
I don't remember where,
don't
because I remember she got
know.
knocked unconscious. I just don't remember where that happens. It might be she
Oh,
might have been
I
in there too.
again like and Jeremy's not there, so like there's a few things that you're like I forget that
Yeah.
part, but I don't know. Because I don't rem. Oh, she's unconscious though. You're right. So she wouldn't be with the kids like hanging on the rope, being like, "I am gonna die." But anyway, so the
Shit,
amulet
maybe she did drown. She's not at the very end of the movie, is she? She doesn't.
is.
Is she, I don't remember. Is she at the end sequence where they're sitting in their new home? I don't remember.
I don't recall.
I,
One would
I watched it last night.
imagine.
And I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
remember.
Well, but then again, I was at the very end, and you're just like,
We're older.
"Yay!" But like, so, and it does. It gives her power, and she basically holds on to the rope and magically
She
lifts her
uses the
cinder.
force.
She uses the force. The cinder block lifts from the mud and travels to the underside of the rock, so that where they can't mow, and places itself there, and she is good. And it was
Till they get a backhoe and remove that whole rock.
so yeah,
It's a
so
big damn rock, though.
it's a big rock. And I'm like, who plants in this field of this? But whatever.
I don't
It's
know.
fine.
Must be some really good dirt or really good soil, but it's just a humongous rock that would cost thousands of dollars to remove. It's like
Yeah, that's true.
like they did some seismic pictures or something. It's like, no, that's a huge chunk of rock. You're not getting that.
And they're like, and it
And
goes,
you wouldn't be
it
able to
goes
haul
deep.
it away anyway. So
Yeah. So
leave it there,
so
mow
yes.
around it.
So lots of death, but not our main character.
Yeah.
And yeah, there you go.
I would have liked to see a bit more development, particularly with Jenner and Sullivan.
Yeah.
And I think the movie's only like 80 minutes long.
Yeah.
I think, sadly, no disrespect, if you got rid of Dom DeLuise's character, you could have made Sullivan more and Jenner more interesting. You could have done
sure.
more with
That's the relationship that would have been buoyed
Yeah.
by having but
you'd have had an extra 10 minutes.
in to play devil's advocate though to you
Mhm.
is it is a quite heavy, it's an emotionally heavy movie. It's a very the image, it's she, you can feel her distress and her like her children, and even
Mhm.
when Justin pulls her away at the end, like her babies are drowning. Like she was doing all this to
Yeah,
save one,
in
she's now
mud.
losing four. And it's, you can feel that. So I think the only way to kind of temper that is with some,
I have a feeling
asinine.
that that's why they added that character, just for lighthearted. I just don't, and I agree with that, tension you need to release. And I agree with balancing out the creepy stuff with lightheartedness and humor. I just think the Jeremy Bird, Jeremy,
Yes.
Jeremy, yeah,
Yes.
I think it just went too far in that direction. It's just a bit too silly.
It is
It should be funny and lighthearted and charming, and it is, but it's also really obnoxious and silly. It's still funny, it's still enjoyable. Kids will get a kick out of it. But as an adult, it's just too much in that direction, I feel. As I mentioned, the interaction between the kids and Aunt Shrew, perfect. That's charming. It's so funny. Cute. It's adorable. So it's lighthearted.
I love
That's what we needed.
Yeah, I do like the relationship.
Okay, so were you weird when Mrs. Brisby is going to go into the house to drag in the cat?
Oh yeah,
and Jared, right? Justin, thank you. And Justin, fucking Jared.
I'm like, was the farmer's son named?
No. Jared, Justin is there. He's like, maybe you should take that cape off before it gets caught on something. Yeah, that's how I like it. He tells her to take her cape off before she goes running into the house. Yeah. Now, narratively, that also serves a purpose, because I think humans would be weirded out if they found a mouse wearing a cape. So I think that's the main story reason why the functional reason that she takes off her cape, but it also makes it, you don't want to get that cape hung up on anything, better hold that and your amulet. Makes sense. But it's the same thing with like Donald Duck looks fine until he takes off his shirt, then he looks really naked. You're like, whoa. And he never wears pants. It's so weird. She's just wearing a cape, but she takes off her cape, and now it's just weird. Now it's just weird. She's naked, and it's weird.
I did scream though. I was like, when he caught her. No, so about Justin.
But they play it like it's not a big deal and it's not nudity, so
which is great.
Animated and the vocal performance is perfect.
Yes, it is. It is great. However, is something going to happen with the rat and the mouse? Like, because he definitely hits on her, and she kind of reciprocates, and then they kind of drop it. But I was like, right after he's like, "Oh, your husband was Jonathan. Your eyes are lovely," and I'm like, "Ooh, I mean, yeah, he's dead, so it's not like you're mowing his lawn, but like, oh, it's just like curious. It was weird. It was. I don't
also know. Another small criticism. The climax of the son catches her wandering around the house after she drugs Dragon's food.
Yes.
And then locks her in a bird cage or something because he's going to keep
her
for
a reason.
Keep her as a pet because cool, I caught a mouse. She escapes, but then she runs into Dragon. It's like, okay, what's the climax here? How are we going to tie up the Dragon arc? I guess he ate his drugged cat food because he just stays asleep.
He just stays asleep. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I mean, makes sense, but
yeah,
cool. I mean, they do a nice sequence where she walks into him or slides into him or something like that, and he opens his eye real wide, and it's like, oh,
and then the contracting and the constrict,
and then the pupil, just dilates, and then it contracts, and he just closes his lid again. I don't know why I have to physically. I can just do that, but
yes.
And it's like, oh, I guess he ate the drugged food and he's asleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how she escaped though I was like,
the water dish. Yeah.
Look at her being all thoughtful. Like
didn't even need some NIMH juice. Jonathan taught her to read a bit. So
yeah. So she says that like, so
her kids are better at it than she is, which I thought was a wonderful little throwaway line that they're passing it on to the next generation.
Yeah, that is very cute. The one thing that I found interesting, well, I found several things interesting, but just the one thing I'll say is like, so it does mean that she can't read, or, but she was learning to read because Jonathan helped her. But like when Shrew is getting all of the animals, up, other than the mice, the rats, and then Jeremy.
Yeah, and
but like Dragon doesn't talk. Dragon
neither do the rabbits so far,
and neither do the rat. Yeah, so it's like it's a interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like in not Jungle Book, Tarzan, where Tarzan speaks, the gorillas speak, all the animals speak except the big cat that eats his family.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I don't know. You don't want to humanize the nasty murderous villains, maybe, but I don't know. Shere Khan's a great villain. So I think it's scarier when the cat is not just a cat. It has intention and it has thoughts, and it's like, yeah, I see you. I recognize your humanity. Same thing that I have, or your sentience and sapience, right? I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Yeah, so it was an interesting thing, especially because
sharks are scary, but a shark a shark with intention, I think that might be scarier.
Yeah, I would agree.
Sharks with a grudge.
Excellent. Yes, but all in all, I mean, little things here and there. Agreed. I almost don't think that the amulet, like that power thing, was needed because it was cool enough just to have, technologically advanced rodents. But I get it. It's fascinating. It's beautiful art, and you need to cater sometimes to an audience.
All the magic is animated in such a colorful and attractive way that it's just fun to watch anyway. I don't think it'd work in live action. It'd just be stupid.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So did anything creep you out? Did the bellies still make you go?
No. I recognize a lot of the stuff as I can recognize, these are dark and creepy shot, wonderfully foreboding and atmospheric, but no, it doesn't bother me today. I'm sure I could watch Falcor getting a shot in the ass without a problem too. But...
See, I don't know, but I still have recollections of that. Oh man, that skin. Oh God, I hate it. Ew. But like, so the thing about us choosing this topic, which is interesting, the creeps out as a kid, is this agreed. There wasn't anything that really I found. I mean, I acknowledged that which would be creepy to a child.
There's some really scary imagery in this for kids. It's pretty dark.
Yes, it truly is. And I'm like, oh wow, that would be a thing. And yet I am scared to death to watch my movie because I'm like, I think it's still going to creep me out. So it's such a weird thing because I just watched this one and I'm like, okay, but I get it. I get why brother chose it. And I could only imagine, like, as a child, because this seems like a movie you'd want to watch.
I like this movie. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not perfect, but I really genuinely like this film.
No, it was.
As I mentioned last week, it was, I think, the earliest example of a movie that had something that just genuinely unsettled me when I was a kid, which is why I picked that one over a wide range of possibilities I could have gone with.
Sure. I'm interested to know of those other possibilities. We'll have to chat about that.
Yeah. So what did you pick? What film are you mandating I watch?
I'm apologizing to the
what
both
film are
of
you
us.
Traumatized? Oh God!
And it's going to be Return to Oz.
Oh, okay.
That
was on my short list.
Yep. That's like I had a short list, so
there's a bunch of stuff in that movie that it could possibly be. I mean, the design of the Scarecrow is pretty creepy. The Wheelers are what did
the Wheelers. The Wheelers and the face, the Hall of Heads.
The Hall of Heads with is that what's
for Feruza Bulk Feruza for I can't pronounce her first name,
with the interchangeable heads that she has in like it's a hat room, but they're heads. That is creepy, but the thing that sticks out the most to me is Dorothy being chased by those Wheelers. Those Wheelers are they're unnatural and creepy. So, I don't
remember the plot. I just remember thinking, no. So yeah. So we'll have to watch. I mandated that we'll have to watch that, and I'm going to definitely have
the Scarecrow has a pumpkin head, and it's a costume rather than a guy in makeup. There's TikTok, the little animatronic guy who winds up.
I totally forgot about that little dude.
He's short, has like a mustache.
And the iconic road is all like
the road is torn apart because of the damn Wheelers.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, like so yeah, it had to have been on your short list. Like it had to have been.
That was on there, yeah.
Yeah. What's it called? The Never Ending Story was on mine.
Never Ending Story was on there too.
The other one that for me immediately came to the top and then I was like, nah, was Care Bears. Because of the green dude in the book.
The face in the book. Where he's, God, the Care Bears movie is actually, me too. Yeah, that was on my face
list.
In the book, especially when he's at the climax where he's closing her face in the. God, that was creepy.
That was very creepy.
Why is the Care Bears movie so goddamn creepy?
So that's what I thought was so funny. Because when we did the creeps me out, I was like, just certain just images came into my head in that Care Bears book, and I'm like, that was creepy.
Even some of the imagery at the end of the movie where he's he has the book, Nicolas. He has the book in his hands, and the wand is.
Well,
he's like this. His eyes
are
like
crazier and crazier because it has a hold of him. Like
it's some unsettling imagery for a Care Bears movie.
But we're gonna watch Return to Oz.
We're gonna watch Return to Oz. Maybe we'll hit some of these others another year.
There you go. So
So,
excellent.
okay. Today's episode may have come to an end, but Creeped Me Out as a Kid month continues next time with Kelly's mandated movie, Return to Oz. Nice.
I know. I've done it to us. I'm sorry.
If you'd like to watch it too, check out the description to see where it's currently streaming or available to rent. Until then, you can watch Movie Mandates on YouTube or listen to it in podcast form on iTunes. And if you enjoy the show and want to help us reach a wider audience, engagement is key. So if you're watching on YouTube, like and comment. And if you're listening on iTunes, rate and review. Much obliged. And with that, I'm Andrew, and you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen.
I'm Kelly, and I'm at Get Isengard.
We hope you've all enjoyed this episode of Movie Mandates, and we'll be back soon with another mandated movie. Bye, everyone.
Bye.